Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So before I get into today's video, I think this, how do I show this to you guys? This might look familiar to some of you. It is the watch that I wore from What is Reality and Hacking Reality. And I got asked a million times where I got this watch. And originally we got it from a website called thinkgeek.com, but it is now available on Amazon. So I have a link in the description below. So if you guys are interested, have at it. It's actually a pretty cool watch. I definitely maybe accidentally stole this from Zed. What are we talking about? Right, so on July 21st, 1969, Neil Armstrong took his very first step on the moon. The exact moment occurred just as our planet's Standard Universal Time, or GMT, hit 2:56 a.m. Now, that was the time down here, but the question remains, what time was it for Neil? Historically, when we talk about these time-sensitive events, we refer to them within the context of their relevant time zones. But despite the moon's distance from any particular time zone here on Earth, space agencies have so far described lunar expeditions in terms of their own time zones. And a good example of how this can get confusing is when you are working with space agencies who have vastly different time zones. For example, in my last video when I discussed Japan's recent launch of the H3 rocket, which happened at 10:37 a.m. in Japan. But Japan is 17 hours ahead of my own time zone, Pacific Standard Time. So I was watching the launch in the late afternoon the day before. So yeah, it can get complicated. So the European Space Agency recently announced a joint effort to establish a time zone for the moon. The common framework, called Lunanet, will encapsulate, quote, mutually agreed upon standards, protocols, and interface requirements allowing future lunar missions to work together. And apparently this was inspired by comments made by a variety of agencies who have expressed interest in defining a common lunar reference time, which would be used to standardize the way that private and public space agencies tell time on the moon. Historically, the ESA says that deep space antennas have allowed organizations to keep onboard chronometers synchronized with time measurements here on Earth, which is necessary to facilitate two-way communications. But as more organizations plan their lunar missions, this method has the potential to become a bit messy. If and when two organizations are on or around the moon simultaneously, they'll need to communicate with each other, and both of them using different time zones can make this confusing. And when events need to be timed down to the minute or second, having vastly different time zones is not necessarily your friend. However, setting a lunar time zone is not exactly a walk in the park. Clocks on the moon run faster than what we consider normal here on Earth, gaining about 56 microseconds daily. And even this itself isn't consistent. How much faster these clocks run depend on their exact position on the moon, which makes some organizations wonder if the moon having its own time zone is even a good idea. Bernard Huffenbach, head of strategic planning at ESA, says that the agreed time system will also have to be practical for astronauts. This will be quite challenging on a planetary surface where in the equatorial region, each day is 29 and a half days long, including freezing fortnight-long lunar nights, with the whole of Earth just a small blue circle in the dark sky. So moving to lunar time will require putting together a working lunar time system and a common coordinate system for the surface of the moon, like what we use on Earth to track satellites. But while this may take much more energy and effort, it could result in a much more accurate system, one that could be applied to other planets as well. So it's the kind of thing that if we work it out for the moon, we can apply it to other planets as our exploration into space continues. And some have said that actually this work is a mathematician's dream puzzle. Javier Ventura Traveset, who is coordinating ESA contributions to Lunanet, said, quote, throughout human history, exploration has actually been a key driver of improved timekeeping and geodetic reference models. It is certainly an exciting time to do that now for the moon. which makes me laugh. The idea of somebody at ESA telling all these math nerds to figure out how to keep lunar time and them just gasping in delight. Better them than me. So what do you guys think? Should the moon have its own time zone? I feel like there are people who already hate all the time zones anyway, so they'll be like, one more time zone? Are you freaking kidding me? But I don't know. I kind of like it. I feel like it's cool to think of someone up there being like, yeah, I'll call you at 7:30. Standard moon time. That's not what they're going to call it, though. Okay, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next video.